In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried the city of Pompeii under 20 feet of volcanic ash. 12,000 people lived there. Most escaped. But everything they left behind, their homes, their streets, their art, their secrets, was frozen in time, perfectly preserved, waiting to be found. When archaeologists finally uncovered Pompeii in the 1700s, they expected to find ruins of a typical Roman city. What they found instead was so shocking, so disturbing, that they locked it away from the public for nearly 200 years. And even today, even after everything has been officially revealed, there are still parts of Pompeii that most history books quietly skip over. Because the real Pompeii wasn't a respectable ancient city frozen in time. It was something far stranger, far darker, and far more human than anyone wanted.
An autumn day in 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius, dormant for nearly 300 years, violently exploded into life, discharging 1.5 million tons of volcanic material into the atmosphere every second. To the people of Pompeii, Vesuvius wasn't feared. It was merely a mountain, its slopes blanketed in vineyards that produced famous wine, its forests teeming with wild boar. The catastrophe didn't arrive without warning, but the signs were misread. For years, the earth had trembled. A massive earthquake in 62 AD had significantly damaged the city. In the weeks before the eruption, tremors increased in frequency. Wells dried up. Nobody understood what was coming. The final twist was the wind. On the day of the eruption, winds were blowing unusually toward the southeast, directly over Pompeii. While other nearby towns were destroyed quickly by heat, Pompeii was slowly buried alive, locked in place by falling ash before the final blow arrived. At the time of the eruption, the city had a population of about 12,000. Most escaped. Only about 1,200 bodies have been recovered. But what those 1,200 bodies and the city frozen around them revealed about Roman life was something the modern world was not prepared to see. When excavations began seriously in the 1700s and 1800s, wealthy young European gentlemen came to Pompeii as part of their cultural education. They expected classical art, dignified ruins, the noble legacy of ancient Rome. Instead, diggers uncovered frescoes and statues which they believed were indecent, if not outright immoral.
Throughout ancient Pompeii and Herculaneum, erotic frescoes, depictions of gods, sexually explicit symbols and inscriptions, and household items such as phallic oil lamps were found everywhere. This wasn't hidden in one location. It was everywhere, in homes, in bathhouses, on street corners, in temples. The ancient Romans viewed sexuality and explicit imagery in a completely different way from modern cultures. To them, these images were normal, everyday, unremarkable. But to the 18th and 19th century Europeans who found them, it was a scandal. In 1821, artifacts deemed obscene were locked away in a secret museum. At Pompeii itself, locked metal cabinets were constructed over erotic frescoes, which could be shown for an additional fee to gentlemen, but not to ladies. The cabinet was only accessible to people of mature age and respected morals, which in practice meant only educated men. The Secret Museum was reopened, closed, reopened again, and then closed again for nearly 100 years. It was briefly made accessible at the end of the 1960s, before being finally reopened permanently in 2000. For almost 2 centuries, the true face of Pompeii was hidden behind a locked door, and the key was only given to the right kind of men. But the locked art wasn't the only secret Pompeii was hiding. The most famous images from Pompeii are the plaster casts, the ghostly forms of people frozen in their final moments,
preserved by the volcanic ash that buried them. For over a century, we thought we knew who these people were. We were wrong. DNA analysis has completely changed our understanding. One plaster figure, long believed to be a man, was revealed to be female. The famous muleteer, a crouched male who appeared to be shielding his face from the fumes, turned out to have no arms. The plaster arms were apparently sculptural improvements added to the cast in the 20th century. Someone had quietly altered the evidence. And Pompeii celebrated two maidens, two figures locked in a poignant embrace. One of the most reproduced images from the site may in fact have been two young male lovers. They were not related. DNA confirmed it. Everything we thought we knew about who these people were was a story someone else told. The Villa of the Mysteries contains stunning frescoes that experts still disagree about. The most common interpretation being that they show a young woman going through the rites of induction to a secret cult of Dionysus, the god of wine. A secret cult in a locked villa just outside the city walls. The more archaeologists dig, the stranger Pompeii becomes. Here's the part that almost nobody talks about. Although Pompeii has undergone regular excavations since its rediscovery in the 16th century, over a third of the buried city remains hidden. A third of one of the most excavated sites in human history. Recent research suggests that the layers beneath the already uncovered sectors of Pompeii may hold over 10,000 unexcavated buildings. 10,000 buildings, still underground, still untouched. And then there's the war damage nobody talks about. During World War II, the Allied aerial assault of 1943 dropped more than 160 bombs on Pompeii, demolishing the site's gallery and some of its most celebrated monuments. Over the years, 96 unexploded bombs have been found and deactivated. A few more are likely still buried in areas not yet excavated. There are unexploded World War II bombs buried underneath one of the most visited archaeological sites in the world. And underneath those bombs, 10,000 buildings we haven't opened yet. Over 3 million people visit Pompeii every year, each one frozen in 79 AD. Each one waiting. Over 3 million people visit Pompeii every year. They walk the same streets. They see the same plaster casts. They photograph the same ruins. But they're only seeing 2/3 of the city. The curated version, the approved version. The version that took 200 years and a locked museum to construct. The real Pompeii, the one with the locked cabinets and the altered casts and the 10,000 unopened buildings, is still mostly underground, still waiting. And every time archaeologists open another room, another street, another sealed doorway, they find something that rewrites what they thought they knew. Pompeii wasn't just a city frozen in time. It was a mirror, showing us exactly who we are and exactly what we've always tried to hide. Subscribe. Next week, we go somewhere history buried even deeper.